Morning, it's September 15th. This is To My Liberal Friends. What to do about Joe Biden? And that's a question that many Democrats are asking themselves, and unfortunately, they don't have a real answer. Joe Biden continues to languish in his approval ratings, and it seems he cannot get over 45% and hovers closer to the 40% mark. Polling shows him in a dead heat with most Republican candidates, and political wisdom is if you're an incumbent and cannot get over 50%, you're generally in trouble. Joe Biden has several strikes against him. The majority of people think that at age 82, he's unable to fulfill the most demanding job in the country, if not the world. There are major questions about his mental acuity, and his penchant for either lying or just embellishing his life story are starting to pile up. Just yesterday, he said that as a professor, he taught political theory at the University of Pennsylvania for 4 years. Well, the fact checkers were out immediately and pointed out that this was false. He was a guest lecturer for 2 years, but was never considered a professor and did not have a class schedule, nor was he grading papers or passing out grades. But in Joe's mind, he was a professor. And this is consistent with other fables he tells about himself, and he says them so often that he now believes them. This is a characteristic of people suffering some form of dementia. Then you have the Kamala Harris problem. I've addressed this in the past. She polls lower than Joe Biden, if that's possible, and nobody can understand what she is saying as she devolves into some form of word salad that essentially repeats herself over and over. The rumors are that she only wanted to do a few things, and the ones she was assigned, she's failed miserably. She was in charge of the border. But she's a black woman, and if Biden or Democrats were to jettison her from the ticket, there would be repercussions that might not bode well for them in an election. But just the fact that she is on the ticket and Biden's going to be 82 scares us to be Jesus out of a lot of Democrats and average Americans. But Joe Biden has shown no inclination of stepping down and repeatedly says that he's running for a second term. He touts his Bidenomics as the key to his winning. But we're fast approaching October, and if someone other than Robert F. Kennedy and Marianne Williamson are intending to take on Biden in a primary, they have to get moving. There are states out there where the deadlines to file are coming up sooner than most people think. And here's a list of the states that require you to file before the end of the year. Alabama, November 10th. Arkansas, November 14th. California, December 15th. Colorado, December 11th. Louisiana, December 15th. Massachusetts, December 22nd. Michigan, December 8th. Nevada, the first one, October 16th. North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, and Virginia are all due in December. And that tells me that someone like Gavin Newsom or Amy Klobuchar intend to mount a primary challenge to Joe Biden. They need to prepare to file their papers in a lot of states, or they'll be relying on write-in ballots since they will not appear on the actual ballot. And I say this with the knowledge in the back of my mind that the Democrats will ignore those rules, and in some cases law, if they find that Biden is either not going to run or something climatic happens that convinces them all he cannot run. This past week, David Ignatius, a loyal Democrat in the media, finally came out in the Washington Post and said what most are thinking, that Biden should not run. Ignatius, like so many Democrats and liberals, are getting worried that the piling on of Joe Biden can only get worse. They will cite his age, they will cite his low standing in the polls, and they will point to the growing scandal of the business dealings of his son, Hunter Biden, and the possibility that evidence might surface that shows he was involved. What I suspect will happen is that Biden will run and will appear on the ballots in primaries in various states. I believe he will win those primaries because nobody's going to challenge him. That means he will head into the Democratic Convention next August as the candidate, but one that is lagging well behind in the polls. And that means the only way out of this pickle for the Democrats is for Joe Biden to withdraw himself just before the convention. But that would put the Democratic Convention into a state of chaos. Multiple candidates would surface and try to get the delegates necessary to gain the nomination. It means they would look disorganized, and there would be factions within the party that feel they were ignored and left out of the process. It will definitely bring someone forward that leans more towards the progressive caucus positions because that's who the delegates are. But in the end, Joe Biden will stay in the race, and all bets are off on who's going to be inaugurated in January 2025. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Appreciate your listening. If you enjoy the podcast, recommend it to your friends, leave a comment, or subscribe.